It's all good. I got it all. I got the whole command center here. That's for sure.
Yeah, man. No, that's cool. You got the iPad. You got the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. That's for sure.
I've seen the operation grow for sure.
Yeah. It's a lot going on. A lot going on than it used to. But, again, I do think the video is totally worth it.
Yeah, I mean, just the ability to share it.
Fun to have the clips in, everything. I was just listening. I re-listened to some of the Thanksgiving Los Chupacabros, and I was like, "Damn, I wish we would have had video to clip it up."
When did you do it last year, or you do one this recently?
The Los Chupacabros ended like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay, right. I didn't know if you guys were still doing it or.
No, they kind of had a unceremonious end.
Well, as most podcasts go. I mean, me and Ed.
I don't know. Yeah,
me and Ed recorded the last two of OK Ringo at the bar,
but it wasn't Ed being like, "I don't want to do this anymore. It's not fun."
Yeah, no. Yeah. It was just Ed got busy doing legitimate shows all around the country, and I got busy with the bar. Yeah, that was basically what happened. Well, and I actually haven't. It'd be interesting to go back and listen to that last episode because we literally recorded it at the bar the week before we opened, and I did it as a way to test to make sure that we could record off of the soundboard. And we've now done. Some Pallet City podcasts, and I've done a couple other
Oh yeah, you do the Pallet City live ones.
Yeah, I mean, I was doing them once a month, and then no one ever showed up. And I also suspect that people who maybe would come in for a beer or two just wouldn't because they didn't want to get in the way. I don't know if that's actually true though. But yeah, no, we do them. The last one we did actually, I think, is going to be the way that I'll do them. More often where I told Garrett, hey man, I'm gonna book you a real guest, and then that's it, and then that way you guys will have someone who actually
you wouldn't just get 3 randos.
Right. And it was actually good, and then they did video. They had a camera and they recorded it, and it's up on YouTube, and so I think we'll make it more like a special event kind of thing where maybe I'll only do it every couple months. And I'll have a little more control over hey man, instead of 3 fucking open micers, because that's really what it was for a while.
Oh yeah, that's his pool of people. I mean, he runs that open mic, so it's he just needs it. Yes. I mean, I like that too. I like the idea of I'm on the ground floor. I get a lot of people I see at the open mics, things like that too.
Totally.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but also they're not bringing a crowd. That's for. I mean, they're not. Right. No one's gonna come.
Right. Well, and what's crazy is I booked AJ Finney because I'm well. Not only does he have the podcast with Zach that, seems to, they do okay as far as I can tell. And AJ also has fans all over the country. So it's funny, he shared the thing. And I'm still, it's one of those weird, those weird posts where weeks later, I still randomly will get a like or two off of it because it just showed up in someone's feed who's friends of AJ's because they saw him at a music festival 15 years ago or something. I'm still getting a decent amount of those, which is good. So I want to have more people like that on that podcast. And not just, Garrett's buddies or whatever. I like Garrett a lot.
Is he okay with you booking his podcast?
Well, it wasn't, I didn't really put it like that. I was more just hey man, AJ's interested.
Okay. Yeah.
It's that one. That's the one.
Yeah.
You can see that's got, more, it's all these random likes of just random people who are fans of AJ's. And that's totally cool. Totally I also plagiarized myself for that poster because I had already made a poster. I got AJ on a Thursday at the end of this month.
I saw that.
Yeah. Right. Well, so I basically just repurposed what I had made.
For this Thursday.
Yeah. If you scroll, it's one of those ones that starts with Chuck Roy. If you scroll, you can see the AJ one because I did I think it's the maybe not that one, but the one underneath it, that one. Yeah. If you scroll, you'll see. That's that's the original version I made, and then I repurposed it for the podcast, basically.
Nice.
Because work smart, not hard.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, did you think as a venue owner, you'd be doing a lot of posters?
Yes.
I guess I didn't think about that as a.
Oh yeah, no, I knew that was the case because I'd already been doing that. As a showrunner.
Yeah,
right, and literally I'm the opposite of how most venue owners become venue owners. Most people are bar or restaurant people who then kind of fall into it. Me and Whitney were the opposite, where we're I've been producing shows, and she had done producing music shows and other things like that. And then like we had to learn the bar piece of it, so that was our learning curve, was the bar piece. The event piece has been, I don't want to say the easiest part because it's certainly not easy, but that was the part we already knew how to do that part. I had done the Jagged Mountain show for 4 years, and then, me and Ed and, Sidian for a while and a few other people we had been doing shows all over. So I already knew I was going to be doing a lot of posters. And I'll be honest, man, when I was doing the Jagged Mountain shows, I didn't have Canva. Like I would use all these cheesy, I'd reuse the same image over and over again and just edit it in Photoshop because I don't have like Photoshop like skills to design, but like I can certainly edit text. Like that's easy enough to do. Yeah. But I got to say, man, Canva's been a game changer. All of these graphics are Canva, every single one.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about Canva. So
it rules.
It's worth it.
Big fan, man. And well, and it's also, what's crazy about it is it's not that expensive. It's like 12 or maybe like $15 a month.
Oh, it's a monthly one.
Well, I think I pay for it yearly.
Yeah, you could get most things.
Yeah, because it's a little cheaper yearly. So I think paying for it yearly, it's a little less.
Yeah,
but even still, man, it is crazy. Almost every graphic that's up on our Instagram and our website and stuff, other than the ones that you make for Comedy Saved and the ones that, every now and then a band who I book will make their own, and I'm perfectly happy with that. Like that one was kind of a half and half. Like they sent me that picture and then I did everything else in Canva. But if you look at it, you can see that I reuse a lot of the same templates, like you can
get something you like. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you can kind of tell that I'm reusing some of them, but it works. It's effective.
Yeah. We got Harrison Garcia here, just so.
Yeah, sorry, we just kind of started talking. I assume we're recording.
The owner of Western Sky Bar and Tap Room, where you can see Comedy Save the video star. The next one's December 16th. No, it's December 21st.
21st,
sorry. Yeah, we just passed the October.
Yes.
No, November 16th.
Yeah, dude.
Which great show.
Yearly, I feel like this year flew by. And some of it's the bar. And I feel like I've talked to other people who are like, like I blinked and it's like Thanksgiving. I don't know.
But I've been wanting to get in the season. I've been trying to don't let it pass you by.
Yeah, no, I walked in your house and I was like, this is amazing. You guys got like a legit Christmas tree up. You got lights. You got all kinds of stuff. I don't have. So how does it work with your dog? Does your dog fuck with the tree at all?
No. If anything, it's the cat sometimes. Like he'll like bite the branches or whatever. But if anything, it's the cat. But for the most part, they're cool.
How old is your cat?
11.
Oh, okay. So it's an older cat.
Yeah.
So we have kittens. Whitney got kittens.
Oh, yeah. That'd be a nightmare.
The beginning of the summer is like May, like end of May.
Yeah, you got 2 kittens.
And they're insane. There's one of them. That was just a happy accident. I was like, well, if we're going to do a thing, I know that the cat, just having a cat, the internet loves.
Right.
And that got a fair amount of traction, that picture. Anytime I post any kind of cat. Yeah. And if you go on my page, I mean, my personal Instagram is almost all kitten pictures at this point.
Gramsci.
Yeah. That's it. I've considered, I've been thinking about and toying with the idea of creating, if you go back to that one, actually, I've been sometimes using them to do promo for the show. So yeah, look at the one with them on the towels. I just put some. This is another Canva thing. You just pop in a logo and South Broadway comedy show and blast it around the internet. But yeah, I've been toying with the idea of creating the cats their own social media, because
I think you got to.
I kind of think I do. Yeah, there it is. Well, so that's a good one you made.
I was trying to do more, with the stuff. I had one comic. Because I would take all the people I had on the show and I would put them into like, classic music video pictures. And one comic was like, this is too much. So it's like,
are you gonna? You're not gonna put them on blast as to who it was that was uncomfortable.
I don't remember that's fine. I'm not gonna push it. Name.
Sure, good. No, good. Classy, JD. I like it. When they said it was too much, they were uncomfortable with.
I think they were uncomfortable with what? Yeah.
Huh. It's a comedy show.
Yeah, it's a comedy show. I could see if she was.
People take this shit so seriously. I don't know. Like, I mean, and of course, look, especially now that it's like a business that I have to keep open, of course, you take it seriously. But I don't know. I feel like people get bent out of shape.
Around.
Yeah. Well, yeah. With stuff like that, though, I'm just like, it's
Yeah, it's fun. It's
JD
fun.
photoshopped you into something. Like, how mad can you be about it?
I mean,
you know
I did stare at a picture of you for a little while, I guess, so that might be a little weird
Is
for
that
you.
what it was? They
I don't know. Maybe.
They thought it was creepy.
I mean, it was a female, so maybe she's thinking about it on a different level than
that's fair. No, I think that's fair.
I mean, yeah. And sometimes I do have to like go into people's Instagrams or Facebooks to find pictures of them. Now I'm just like, hey, throw me a headshot. But before I would get my own pictures.
Yeah, sure.
So, and I think it was Georgia who's like, ask me for my headshot. Don't just put a random picture that you found on there.
Yeah, but I've heard the opposite from other people too, who are like they are annoyed that you're like trying to get a picture. I've gotten
really?
I mean, not, and I can't think of like a specific example, but definitely over the years of trying to put posters together
for shows.
I've gotten people who are like, I ask them and then they don't get back to me for like 2 weeks or something. I'm like, well, that doesn't really help me. So then I just end up doing it anyway. I got to just going onto a Facebook or whatever and pulling a random one. What do you think about? And I'm semi guilty of this. I've made certain posters with a lot of faces on them, but in general, I'm not a fan of the style of poster where they put every single comic's picture on there. How do you feel about that?
I do it on all mine.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think for the Comedy Save one, it's good. There's a couple other ones where I just feel like there's like,
if it's just a generic.
Yeah, like sometimes you see like the local comedy show posters where it's like 12 pictures of like 12 different open mic comics who are all doing like 5 minutes or something. And I always think that's like, it was like, you didn't have to do all that.
I've been thinking a lot about thumbnails.
Thumbnails. Well, yeah, I see this. Yeah, sure.
These I got.
I like that.
Headshots.
Yeah.
All the I'm just like basically copying templates from other podcasts.
Totally.
Like.
Yeah, totally.
So like I was looking at Theo Von's podcast for a long time, and that's the Neela Pekarik one is kind of me doing kind of what Theo Von was doing. I was talking to another comic, and they're like, you don't need to put your face on it. It's kind of about the guest. Like you're there.
I would agree with that. I think that's good advice.
So I just kind of got rid of me. Like this was a selfie we took together, and I just photoshopped me out.
It's a funny one that I've seen a fair amount of recently is the one where the producer of the show's picture is just as big, if not bigger, than the headliner.
The Conan one? The only thing I can think of where the producer is that involved.
Oh, I've seen a few local ones. Nobody off the top of my head, but okay. I've seen a few where I'm like, wow, the open mic producer is their picture is just as big as the headliner. That's always funny.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'm like, cool. So it really is about you, huh?
Well, they're putting in some work.
But these look good, man. Yeah, that's cool. I like it.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about thumbnails just as much as the same thing about posters. Like big faces are popular.
Yeah,
just big face with the title.
I don't know how many people listen to this for comedy advice, but I think that's the first piece of comedy advice, right? Think about thumbnails, kids.
Think about thumbnails. Yeah.
You want to just tell jokes? No.
Oop, wrong one.
Yeah,
sorry.
don't work on your jokes. Just work on thumbnails and work on your. Just work on thumbnails and work on your local comedy show posters. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah, I think poster first.
Yeah.
Jokes second.
I swear there are
never
people.
Apologize.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Podcast over. That's all the advice that I got. Yeah. Never apologize. Never ever admit that you might have been wrong about something.
Yeah. You rolled up on your e-bike.
E-bike, man.
Yeah.
Big fan.
First guest, first time. Ever done that?
Nice. All right. Well, I'm happy to be. I'm happy to be that. It's also why I'm like mildly sweating through my glasses here.
Do you want?
No, it's okay. We're good.
Paper towels.
I'm gonna. We'll take it off for a minute. Part of it is the headphones. So yeah, I'm gonna be. I don't think I would have gotten the e-bike if I didn't get the credit. This is actually a legitimate piece of advice. I'm not kidding at all. If you can get the e-bike rebate program and you live in the city of Denver, it is awesome. Big fan. So I got a bike. It was essentially half off because you can get a $1,200 credit, and it's basically just like a coupon code that you use. I mean, there's a certain like kinds of stores, like you can't just like go online and get some random thing which is good. They want to make sure that you spend your money in Denver. So I think there's like 7 or 8. At least when I did it a year ago.
Local bike shops.
Yeah, there might be a few more. But yeah, so I spent an afternoon because I have like just a standard.
It's a big one.
Well, the one that I have is a beefy one. I mean, I just have, and I've had for years, just a standard road bike.
You're also a big guy.
But it's also the bike goes fast, man. The bike can go. I top out at 33 miles an hour.
Jeez,
and so if
you're cruising down,
that's fast? What I'm. Oh yeah, well, and especially coming over here, man. There's some hills where I actually turned the battery off and I just went down the hill. going about 30 miles an hour with the battery just off, which is sweet. That's awesome because then you can conserve some battery power. But like if I was doing that type of speed on my like road bike with the really thin tires and I hit a pothole, I would die. I would absolutely die. You know what I mean? So like it kind of has to be thicker. Like I spent when I got the thing, you know, the promo code, which isn't hard to get, but you have to.
They're kind of hard. I tried the last one; it was gone by the time.
I was
right on time.
Yeah, it's like buying concert tickets. Yeah, it is honestly like buying concert tickets to a hot show, where it's like you got to do it like the day off.
Swift,
yeah, dude, no, it really is because so many people want it because it's an amazing deal. I mean, like I said, I never would have gotten one if I don't, you know, I might have bit the bullet and gotten it because.
But you wouldn't have gotten that nice of a one, right?
Well, yeah, and honestly, dude, the one I got is one of the cheapest ones that was available. Like the least expensive, I'll say, because there's there's all kinds of different options. Like I spent an afternoon riding my, you know, road bike just around I think I went to 3 different stores. The one I ended up getting was a place over in Cherry Creek called E-Bike USA. But then I went to one in Rhino, and then there was like another one, and I just tried out, you know, just test drove stuff. And there, you know, there's like all kinds of different options. Like there are some that are really light, like they're not as beefy. But there was one that I really liked because it was like light, but it didn't have a throttle. So it means that you constantly have to pedal. You know, the one that I have has a button where I can cheat, and I constantly cheat all the time. Oh, yeah, especially like from coming from a stop. Like I get on the bike.
Yeah, you got to hit the.
You hit the throttle, you know, and then kind of start pedaling, and then kind of like build it up. Yeah, exactly. There was another one I test drove that was straight up like a motorcycle. Like it was like you couldn't adjust. Not really. It sort of sucked.
Sounds cool, but
it sounds cool in theory, but I couldn't adjust the seat. You know, and I'm a fairly tall dude, and so I was like I like. If I'm pedaling on this, it sucks. And then it was so heavy.
I couldn't adjust the seat. What the fuck?
I'm like, well, it's not a bike. That's what I'm saying. I was like, this is a motorcycle. I might as well just get like a Kawasaki electric, actual motorcycle or something, you know? So it was great because like between me and Whitney, we've only got the one car, and you know she's not interested in biking at all, and that's fair. So typically like a day like today, she opened the bar. She'll be there from 12 to 8 at the bar. I'm going to go right after this because we have a band tonight. I'm actually training. I've been training one of our bartenders to do sound. And so I'm going to have, no, he's great, man.
If they're interested in it, I'm sure it's a
lot
easier.
I had 2 of our bartenders. One has since moved, but they both just asked me like, hey, like, can I get it? And I was like, absolutely. This is great. You know, cause I need more people who can, you know, back me up if I've got to go somewhere or get sick or something, you know? So, I've been showing Cameron how to do sound. He's run some open mics. He's run a couple of our open jams that we do every other Sunday. So I'm going to have him run sound tonight, and I'm going to mostly bartend, which is going to be good because it's a 6-piece band, which is a pretty decent sized band. So that'll be good. But yeah, I'll just bike, you know, and as long as it's nice out, even if it's
been very
unseasonably
warm.
It's been kind of great.
Kind
of awesome.
Great. Even not for the environment, but it's been nice.
Oh yeah, I mean, who cares about the environment, man? Come on.
Let's make snow. We're already making snow.
We're Americans, man. We don't give a shit about the environment. Come on. But yeah, no, it's you know, it might snow tomorrow or something. You know, you never know.
I did hear it might snow.
I mean, any given day it might snow. Yeah. But even in the snow, like I've ridden it in the snow. I mean, the tires are pretty thick.
You're not going 30 though.
I'm not going 30. No, especially if I don't mind the snow. It's the ice that's the problem, right? Because the ice is the thing that'll like actually fuck you up. That's no fun. But yeah, I mean, I really like it. It's really pleasant just to be able to cruise around, and it's also just convenient.
Yeah, I think Denver. It's cool because Denver's making it really nice and easy, and like they're incentivizing a lot of people to go electric. There's like so many rebates in for electric cars. It's like ridiculous.
Well, look, I think we know, you know, we're realizing it a little too late, but I think we know that like we need to move away from gas powering everything. You know, so it makes sense.
Blubber.
Yeah. Right. Hey man, whatever.
Hey, if those whales are starting to kill people, let's get rid of them.
The whales kind of have a point though, don't they?
I'm team human. Okay, just
I'm 50-50, man. It depends on the case. It depends on the situation. Not all humans are good, let's be honest. Well, it was funny because like last year they rolled out the Denver, you know, the city of Denver rolled out the e-bike rebate program where if you applied and you got in, you could get it. But I think I'm going to get the number probably wrong, but they ran out of 3 years of planned funding in like 6 months. Because of course there were a lot of people who were like, this is awesome. And I have a friend who did it and I
we
tried
one.
out his
My
bike.
wife and I got one.
Yeah, it is awesome. So they did that last year. It's the first year. It was incredibly successful.
Yeah.
They ran out of funding very quickly. I saw that around that same time last year, France, the country of France, had a thing where if you traded in your car and bought an e-bike, it was just like straight up free. And again, I think I'm getting the exact details of that wrong.
I mean, car way more valuable than bike.
Right. That's sort of the idea. But it's the same sort of idea. It's a push to get people to drive less, use less gas. And let's be honest, man, more cars in general on the road is not good. We need less cars because, you drive around, 4:30 on a Wednesday afternoon and it's gnarly out there. There's a lot of cars.
I mean, yeah, my whole job is driving. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So how do you, because you drive the bus, right?
Yeah.
So
short buses.
Do you have people that are like, because I see it all the time, both driving or on my bike, where people just are cutting off buses.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you have you had any close calls?
I mean, yeah, people zip in and out, but I mean, and they just train us to be like, you're the professional. You're supposed to deal with it.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah, you got to not be a dick. Yeah, for number one.
Yeah, right.
And they got cameras all over, so they'll
that's right.
bust you if you fucking actually hit somebody or do something because you're being a dick. Like that's.
Feel free to edit this out if it's going to get you in trouble at your job. But no. I love that you have come to the open mic on Friday a couple times, but you park you're on your lunch break, but you park the bus at the bank. Like basically, about a half block away so that the cameras don't see you walking into a bar. Yeah, which is
and
good.
There's no place to really park that thing back around your bar.
That's true. That's well, and especially our my landlord's never going to listen to this, but like our landlord got real petty with the parking lately. So they even just like stripped the parking lot and like numbered all the spaces because it's just like I'm like, dude, whatever, man. Yeah, it's just petty. It's just really petty. And then he was like rude. The thing that made me the angriest is he was like rude to one of our we weren't there like on like a Friday morning where they were moving some stuff into the unit next door, and he was real rude to one of our bartenders, and that's when I was like, dude, you can be petty about parking. Don't be mad. Like, don't be mad at my staff. Like, if you have a problem, like talk to us about it. Like, don't take it out on our bartender who's just doing their job. Yeah, well, it's just, man, it's the stuff like that bothers me, man. Where I'm just like, don't fuck with people who work for us. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah. No,
like that's the kind of stuff that gets me like, okay, you want to get petty about it? Let's get petty about it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I can play that game, dude. I don't like playing that game, but don't be mean to my people. Like, that's not okay.
Yeah. They haven't installed all the cameras on all the buses yet because but every camera, every RTD bus thing has cameras, but they don't have but the company pays for like specific cameras to be like inside and like monitor how close you're following people.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Those aren't because they got a new flight of buses.
Yeah.
So I've been driving the ones that don't have those just yet.
Oh, okay.
So every now and then I might be able to.
So it's like it tracks somebody. It tracks how close or
it starts
like
beeping like hella loud if you're following too close.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, it sucks. It's very annoying.
That is annoying. But I can see where safety wise that's
Yeah, I guess people are like...
it's sort of like a breathalyzer, but for following too close.
Yeah, it definitely keeps you accountable.
Yeah, that's interesting. Honestly, it would not be...
If it beeps too much, then it like captures that recording and sends it to the safety manager. So
okay, but you're not on one of those buses
not
yet?
Not quite yet. They're telling them on most of them. Probably next week, they'll all be in there. But I was saying, like, every now and then, I'll get a little squirrely and I will, like... get up on somebody here.
Dude. Yeah.
It's just, I mean, it's only human to get annoyed at that stuff, but it's fucking we're supposed to be the professionals.
Sure.
We're getting paid to drive and
there are some rough drivers out there, man. Well, I mean, as far as getting paid to drive, I mean, look, I drove Lyft and Uber for, many years. And I got to say, though, a lot of Lyft and Uber drivers out there who are really bad drivers.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a little different because they're getting paid more based on like how many
that's what it is.
Things they pick up. Us, it's like they're like, take your time.
Oh, nice.
They're safe.
That's good.
Yeah, which is very good because they're like, rather get someone there safe than not get them there at all.
It's an interesting government approach to like just safety. Yeah. We don't really, like, and like, then Lyft and Uber's like, get more rides, otherwise we will murder you. They're very,
it's
very
feel
aggressive
in that respect. So
that's nice.
Yeah, it is nice.
That's cool.
But traffic's a nightmare. You just got to kind of deal with it. And
sure.
people on e-bikes and stuff, they don't make it easy though, because they're constantly
I know.
They're weaving in and out of traffic. They're being like, "Oh, I'll follow the rules when it applies, and when I can get around it, I won't." So it's just like, I mean, everybody's.
Let's be honest. That's how most people. I mean, drivers. I think we all know.
Well, drivers will stop at a 4-way. They should anyway.
They should, although not
bikers
always.
Aren't. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, bikers won't, and I'll admit I've definitely blown through many a stop sign when I know I can get away with it.
Yeah.
But on the opposite end of that, if I blow through a stop sign and a car doesn't see me, I'm dying. Like that's the thing where I'm a little more cautious.
Right. Yeah. But it's probably they're going to blame the car. I mean, I don't know.
It depends.
Yeah,
I think it really depends. Because like I've known people who have gotten into bike accidents where it really wasn't their fault, but then legally it was their fault because they're like, well, you were in the lane, so
good.
What?
No,
dude, the amount of people who I swear
I'm team car.
I'm not at all team car. I'm team. Let's all get to where we're going safely, people. Like the amount of people who seem to have no problem killing me potentially so that they can get to brunch 30 seconds quicker is infuriating. Like it's really insane the amount of people who just aren't paying attention. Because even like before I had the e-bike, I've had a road bike for as long as I've lived in Denver. I mean, there was many years before I had a car where I rode my bike to work like several miles, and I've gotten hit several times, and it's always and anyone who rides a bike a fair amount will tell you this. It is usually when I'm like at a like stopped next to cars at an intersection, and a car. This has happened to me twice in Denver, where I was stopped, and a car made a right on red and just straight up didn't see me. Like just wasn't looking.
Blind
like
spots.
just wasn't
Probably
looking.
A lot of that.
And neither time was super serious. Like one time, like they swiped my leg and okay, fine. And the other time they just hit the front of my bike, and luckily the bike was okay. The one time they just completely drove off. The other time I'll give the guy credit. He actually did stop and make sure I was okay and was actually very, very worried about it. And, which is good. He was a decent human being. But yeah, there's something weird that happens to people when they get into their car.
Oh yeah. I'm in my box. And
sure.
with the bus, it's a big box.
Dude. So how much training did you have to get? Like,
a lot. At least,
I would hope so.
Yeah. Like at least 3 weeks of driving around before I even got to do it, like myself, you drive around with somebody for a while, and then like you get behind the wheel doing stuff with them, and then you're like
driver's ed on steroids.
Accruing your hours. You need to get to like get your certification or whatever. But it's like you don't need a CDL or anything to ride those buses. I mean, it's like surprising like how big of a thing you can ride, because I drove a big box truck before that last summer, and I didn't need a CDL for that either. So it's like,
what do you need a CDL for?
I think it's something that has a detached back.
Oh,
so if, like it's a trailer that has like,
the bigger the ass, the more paperwork you need.
I don't know.
The more licensing you need. If they're like, well, because you see some of those trucks. Like so, like catty corner from the bar, there's a Starbucks, and they will restock the Starbucks.
Yeah, those Cisco trucks.
That Cisco truck, it's usually late at night. It's usually when we're, like on a Friday or Saturday, if we're leaving the bar at like 12:30, 1 a.m. That's usually when they're at the Starbucks, which makes sense because then the Starbucks opens at like 4 or 5 a.m. or whatever. But man, sometimes that truck is like, that ass is out in Broadway, and it's like, this is a little sketchy.
Yeah. Those ones are crazy. Yeah, when I had to go downtown to like restock, because I was delivering janitorial equipment stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like you had to go get in an alley downtown, like right by Comedy Works.
Yeah, that's tough.
It was fucking rough.
Dude, some of those alleys around Comedy Works are crazy.
Oh yeah. And they're doing all that construction down there. It's fucking nightmare.
Well, and some of them have active businesses in them. Like there was, I don't know, this was a few weeks ago. I had a buddy who
in the alley
DJs. Yeah, so it's like a block off of Comedy Works. It's like right there. And it's I don't remember the name of the bar now. is this, man? This is what it is. Like, you know, there's a couple people dancing, and then the rest of the kids just like standing around. Like, yeah, it was weird. I was like, this is lame. It's like,
although, you know, you're like a jam band guy. You like dancing.
I like dancing. What's wrong with dancing, man?
Nothing's wrong with dancing. It's just I feel like it's a different vibe you're bringing.
Maybe
to a show.
Maybe that. But this wasn't. I mean, this was like it was like house music. Like
so
it was.
That's why you like AJ Finney.
That's why I love AJ Finney. Yeah, dude.
Your fellow raver.
Absolutely, man. No. It's dudes who like to watch. Yeah. Guys that like to dance along to music where you don't really have to have rhythm. You know.
Give me a song here. Let me pull up something. What a fish song or what?
Yeah, sure, man.
Where you like
pull up
real crispy cheese sticks. What's a jam band? It's isn't there one like fish sticks or something?
They're called the String Cheese Incident, JD. The String Cheese. That's actually AJ's favorite band, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, pull up. Let's do Goose. Goose is the hot new fish. Just Goose band. It'll come up. Yeah, there you go. Or maybe some Billy Strings. Yeah, there it is.
This one right here?
Yeah, anything that's like 45 minutes long. That's 18 minutes long. That's pretty decent. Yeah, just right in the middle. There it is. Yeah. Goose is cool. People like to hate on Goose, but I think they're all right.
I think how this guy's got a little maraca in there, like as if you can hear it.
Yeah, I'm most of the time with this band, I can't hear the auxiliary percussion at all. But yeah, this is it. I think people like to make fun of this band because that dude's got a mustache and he looks like, you know, a dad in the 70s.
It looks like the dude from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, mixed with a Muppet. He looks like the dude from the Red Hot Chili Peppers mixed with a Muppet is pretty much the deal. Yeah, so this is it. You know, it's jammy.
They're feeling it.
Yeah, dude.
They're in it. They're in the jam right there.
Yeah, they're into it. Yeah. You know, yeah, they're cool. People are into this band. They're growing in popularity. Yeah, look up Fish.
I felt bad at the music video show, and I wanted to run this by you because I put an Isley Brothers song on that had R. Kelly in it.
Oh, that's
and it got vetoed by the bar.
Whitney was like, "No, get this
out."
And
you had like a new bartender I hadn't seen before, and I didn't know if she didn't like me. But that song got vetoed, so I wasn't like, sorry if I made.
I didn't
upset them.
No, I don't. I think they were mostly fucking with you.
Okay.
But it was just sort of like, we don't need this. Just get this off.
Yeah, you know. Yeah. Scandal noted.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I think for the next comedy saved, maybe just do only
Kanye.
Canceled artist.
Okay. Yeah.
No. Go the opposite way. Yeah. Just do like.
I did play
Kanye,
a Michael Jackson song
Kelly.
After that.
Michael Jackson's a weird one, man. I mean, like. Michael Jackson's a strange one, right? Because, yes, we all know Michael Jackson was a child molesting monster. But
Thriller. That's still up debatable.
But Thriller, man.
I know.
Thriller. It was. I mean, there's that Dave Chappelle sketch from the classic Chappelle show where he's like, he made Thriller, man. Like he made Thriller, you know, like, which is true. Like it's, you know, for the rest of time, anytime you're at a wedding or like any event where there's like a mixed group, you know, mixed age group, and you put Billie Jean on, no one's going to be mad at you.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? And like same thing with like, you know, it was the you know, October Comedy Save the Video Star. We're not going to not show Thriller. Right. You know what I mean? Like, of course, because it's like the best music video of all time.
What would Mariah Carey have to do to get for people not to play that Christmas song?
Nowadays, not much, man.
She would
all
have
it would take was retweeting something on one side or the other of something.
She would have to have a whole island full of little kids. She was like drinking their blood, and it had to have been like on video.
I mean, you know, JD, according to some people, that is already happening.
I mean,
you know,
but not with Mariah Carey's not running that island though.
You don't know that,
right? I mean,
do you have definitive evidence showing that that's not the case? Unless there's definitive evidence of Mariah Carey being like,
not being a monster, then we assume she is.
Yeah, dude. At this point, you know, come on.
Okay.
Well, no, there are. I mean, quite legitimately, there are a percentage of this country that believes that anyone that is a like certain income is drinking children's blood.
I mean, yeah, you're a business owner.
Dude.
You're right up there.
We're not making enough money yet.
Yeah, but I mean,
give it a couple years, we'll get in there.
Okay.
You know, We're not elite enough quite yet.
Yeah. Moving on, I guess.
Yeah.
You're running a small business now. You're saying you might want to switch some things up with the bar, running the shows
well,
here.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I keep going back and forth, and I feel like nights like the other night where it's like, there are people just in the back bullshitting. I'm always like a little frustrated. Like last night at the open mic was a little rough, where it's just, I mean,
like a lot of people or not?
Yeah, it was great. Bar did great. Bar did awesome.
Which is the goal. To make money at the bar.
Yeah, that is a goal. Okay. That's one of the goals.
Not your 100%.
No, man. If I wanted to make money, I wouldn't own a small business.
I guess that's true. Yeah,
if I wanted to make money, I would go trade stocks or something. Like get into something that actually like makes some money. No, it's our bar is nice in that it's small. That makes it easier to manage sometimes. The problem is that because it's a shotgun setup where it's just one big room.
They call that shotgun because it's a long barrel.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just a long, just a long hall basically, right? And there's no other side room. There's no upstairs or downstairs. Like it's just
3 bathrooms though.
too many bathrooms. Way too many bathrooms. Yeah, the next bar will have 1 less bathroom and twice the size of the fridge.
Okay.
Because we have way too many taps for the actual size of the fridge. I mean, we took over exactly as is. We did no construction. We spent no time doing any of that other than like painting, and like changing signs. But yeah, so like that's the issue with that. And like it kind of happened the other night, where like there was that group in the back talking who, they're cool. Again, they were drinking, and that's okay for the bar. But yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with the open mic last night. Like I was pretty frustrated because bar was packed. Bar was doing great. We made some money. And literally nobody was fucking gave a shit. Nobody cared about the open mic. Nobody cared about the open mic. And even like the table up front that were continuously talking 2 feet from the stage, one of their friends was going up. And I was like, well, surely this group will quiet down when their buddy got up. Nope, not at all. Like could not be bothered to listen to what was going on. So for me, that is frustrating because when I'm running an open mic or a show, especially a show where I'm paying people, it's a little annoying when there are just folks talking the whole time, So part of me thinks that, and then the other thing is that, attendance-wise, it's been kind of all over the place. I mean, you've seen it the last couple of years. We've had some really good ones. We've had some really not so good ones. We've had some in-between ones, and it's not, there's no consistency to it. So part of the frustrating thing is just a lack of consistency. We're like, there are some nights or some headliners or just certain things that line up that give us a good turnout, and specifically a good turnout of people that are actually listening to the show. And then there's other nights where that just doesn't happen, where there are no people or the people who do show up just cannot be bothered, despite my best efforts hosting.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I keep going back and forth and I need to decide sometime soon as to what I'm going to do. But I think where I'm at right in this present moment is that I may start doing more variety shows, actually, because for a couple reasons. I think that, like, what I do at the open mic on Fridays, it is a mixed open mic, and I like that a lot because I like being able to put up a couple comics, and then put up a musician, or put up. Last night we had a poet, and that was cool. They did a couple minutes of poetry, and like that was just a vibe change.
Was it funny?
No,
okay,
no, it was not.
That's like just the comic response.
Yeah, yeah, right. It was no, and I've had other poets show up that are not particularly funny, and that's okay. I've had dancers, I've had magicians. I had a guy last night that showed up and had tracks on his phone and played bass along with that's cool. That's all great. I've had rappers show up. That's always awesome. They usually have tracks on their phone and they just, rap along to the tracks.
Do they just have like a external speaker like Haley Driscoll does with her thing?
No, actually, most of the time what I do is I plug them in through the same line that I use for guitar.
Oh, okay.
So they just plug in through the house, which is fine. I mean, with Haley, it's easy because she's
I kind of wished it was louder,
I even offered to her, and she's like, "We don't have to do that." I think next time I have Haley on,
I think it's a disservice to what she's doing. No, I agree. You want to hear the beat louder. You want to hear.
No, I agree with you. I think next time,
so good,
next time I'm going to insist on it, and then I will turn the sub up because I've got the sub where we can really like crank the bass.
Yeah, and it's cool. You're playing with the lights during her.
Yeah, of course. Well, yeah, I mean, I've got the lights, and it's fun to do when she's doing music.
Haley Driscoll, local comic, she does like a rapping, funny.
She's
rap
great.
stuff.
So funny.
She's
so funny. Okay. Yeah, dude. She's always a delight when she comes in and does. Well, I like too, like, she's done I've had her on one or two, or like if she does a longer set, she kind of does some stand up and then some songs. Like I think that's fun.
Yeah.
But I think in general, I think I might start doing more of that, honestly, where I've done a couple shows that I've straight up just called, instead of the South Broadway comedy show, I've called it the South Broadway variety show, and I've booked like a musician and a comic and then a band. We did one last year where I had a burlesque act and then a comic and a band.
Was the burlesque funny?
No. Yeah, I mean it was it's burlesque, so
it's hot.
It's burlesque, so that's not really the goal. It's not.
I thought it was like a tease. So
it's a tease, but it's less teasing. Like they're not really strippers. Like that's what I've learned. Yeah, because I really didn't know too much about burlesque, and we've now done about once every couple months. With some breaks, we've done a burlesque brunch, which is a lot of fun. And that group specifically that puts on that brunch. They're called the Broken Babes. They're a local burlesque group. They're awesome. They do a lot of like inclusive kind of stuff. So they have people that either have like maybe a certain disability, or like there was one who knocked me out. This was a performer who was also, so they're a burlesque performer, or drag. There's some overlap to those two things. And I'm hardly an expert. We're two straight white dudes talking about burlesque. This is great content.
We're the authority, bro.
We
got it.
Hey, we got podcast gear. We're the authority. But man, there was one act on one of the shows that just absolutely knocked me out. This person was a sign language teacher and burlesque drag performer. And so they did Firework by Katy Perry, signing it while it was incredible. Like absolutely like knocked me out.
Cool.
Very, very cool. So like that's interesting. And so like I think, and again, this is just me sitting here right now. I might change my mind and want to do something else. But as it stands right now, I think next year I'm going to do more variety shows and less straight stand-up for a couple reasons. I think, number one, I think Denver is lousy with shows where it's just 4 or 5 comics and that's the whole show. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There are a lot of incredible local shows where once a month some producer puts anywhere from 3 to 12 comics up and does, again, nothing wrong with that, especially if it's well run and whatever. But there's a lot of those shows in town, man, and I think there's
a lot of bars, a lot of venues, a lot of
and that's fine. Like that's all good. That is all good. But I think I want to do something a little different.
Okay.
I think so. I think more of that. Not to say that I'm not going to do shows that are just 2 or 3 comics, but even from the start, I've wanted to give longer sets to people that maybe don't get as long as. I think I'm going to do some more of that. Is like sort of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to also maybe do a few other themed weeks. So here's what I'm working on right now. We have a band that has come through. They're friends of Whitney's from school, and they're a 90s cover band, and they're called 90% 90s.
Okay. So
for the last 2 years, we've done a 90s party where we have them come in and play. They are stone cold pros. These guys are amazing. What they do is there's 3 of them. It's a drummer, guitar, and then a guy that plays guitar, but it's a bass as well, so they can kind of switch depending on the song. They all have iPads at their station, and they're brilliant. What they do is they put a list, they have like printed out lists that they put on the tables, and the list is all of the songs that they can play, and there's like hundreds of songs, and it's they're 90% 90s, so a couple 80s songs, couple Killers songs, which are not technically 90s songs. In fact, last time I distinctly remember before they played Mr. Brightside, he goes, "Here's the greatest 90s song that was written in 2004." Because it's so it's a lot of that. And then what they do is they have the whole list, and they have their Venmo, and they say, if you Venmo us $0 to $10, maybe we'll play it. If you Venmo us $10 to $20, we'll probably play it. If you Venmo us more than $20, we'll definitely play your song.
Jesus Christ.
So they just crush it.
Yeah, that's a recipe to make a lot of money.
Absolutely crush it. And then what we do is we make it a 90s party. And so we do, we have to make it ticketed because otherwise we would just have way too many people. So, I check tickets at the door. Your ticket, when you come in the doors, you get a slap bracelet. And then we have, gushers and fruit by the foot and all kinds of stuff that we put on the tables. and then we make like Mountain Dew jungle juice, and we took Capri Suns and we stuck a turkey baster with a shot in the Capri Suns, a lot of that kind of stuff. And so we make it like an event. And so this year, what I think I'm going to do is we're going to make it a 90s week. So we're going to have them play on a Saturday. I'm going to do a 90s themed trivia on Wednesday. Like we usually just do general trivia on Wednesday. Whitney is pretty much done with a 90s deck of all 90 songs, which is very cool. Or I'm sorry, all 90s questions. And then I'm going to put this out here to you or anyone else listening. That Thursday, I want to do Drunk History of the 90s. And so like that whole week will be like the 90s themed week. So I think I'm going to do like more of that kind of stuff where it's like more of like a thing instead of just like a stand-up show and trivia and some band, which of course we're going to do most weeks anyhow. Like try to a little bit more of that stuff.
So it'll be comedians telling history things from the 90s?
Yeah.
Getting drunk and just...
Yeah, well, so I mean, you remember there used to be... Well, I don't know exactly how we'll do it. I don't know if you're going to have to get drunk, you know, but, you know, it's sort of like there's the Drunk History TV show. There used to be a producer who everyone in town knew at the time, who used to put on a drunk history show.
Oh, really?
I was supposed to do... I was booked to do...
Must not have been in that circle.
Maybe not.
I don't recall.
You remember Josue?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he used to do it. But you know, I was booked to do Drunk History of the 90s in April of 2020. That obviously didn't happen. But I have a set half written that I'm going to finish as Dave Matthews.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So anyway, anyone listening, I'm gonna put the word out actually pretty soon because I want to get like 4 or 5 comics.
Yeah. That sounds fun.
That want to do
opportunity.
Well, yeah. Well, and you can do it. You know, so the way that the Drunk History show used to go when it was happening, you know, here in Denver was you could do it in character. You could just tell a story. You know, there was a couple ways to do it. You know, so like I emceed.
You were going to be Dave Matthews,
right? Like I'm going to do it in character.
Talking about the Dave Matthews Band, or were you Dave Matthews talking?
It's going to be a combination of things. I have a whole thing where I'm going to talk shit about other '90s singers.
Okay.
You know, like
roasty.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Something like that. But yeah, that's the idea. So that'll be the last week of January. If there's any comics out there who are still listening at this point that want to hit me up, I'm looking for like probably 4 or 5 people to do it.
Cool. Oh, yeah, that's very
so good. Like more of that kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah. Variety,
more themed kind of like, you know, weeks or whatever. I think that's kind of where I'm at. And then the other thing that I think I'm going to probably do is less. I'd like to do more showcases to give people that are sort of on the cusp of featuring and headlining shots. You know, and that's like something I've been wanting to do for a bit that I sort of moved away from because it's like a little harder to do, but I think I do, you know, just because to get people to show up for it. But I have a few ideas on how to make that more of a thing. But I think what I might end up doing is like I host and then maybe just feature headliner, you know, and okay, if the whole show's an hour, okay. It's not like the worst thing. Yeah. So again, ask me again next week and I might feel differently, you know, but that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Mood swing, or where's the,
the mood swing is like, you know, if, you know, we're not going to do a show this Thursday because of Thanksgiving, but like, you know, if next Thursday, if it's like, you know, I've got AJ Finney booked, if that's a blowout, I'm like, all right, cool. Maybe we'll do more headliners. You know, that, you know, that's where the mood swings come in, where I'm just like, you know, or like, you know, the show, the Comedy Save last week, that was decent. That was okay.
The show itself, I thought was very fun.
I agree. No, it's super fun.
Patrick was like
awesome. Dude, Patrick was on fire.
Patrick Scott.
Patrick was absolutely
Get rid of those kids. You got to get back to doing comedy, bud.
Dude, yeah, he was absolutely on fire.
Yeah, I know.
Both his set.
Very impressed.
And I thought everyone did quite well. I hadn't seen Charlie in a while. Great, it was good to see him. But like,
yeah, Charlie, it was a gamble. I was like, Charlie.
Nah, dude, Charlie's been great.
Charlie's good, but sometimes
I just hadn't seen it. I don't get out much myself. Yeah, he was great. I thought everyone was super funny, and the videos were fun.
Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, it was great. But yeah, Patrick especially was absolutely on fire. You know, but yeah. So I don't know. That's where the mood swings go. Where like sometimes if it's like like I said, there's just a lot of people and they all just like don't give a shit.
Sure.
There are days I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to stop doing shows entirely. Like, let's just, we'll just be a bar and that'll just be what we are. But I'm never actually going to do that. That's never, never, because the whole point of us taking over was to try different stuff like that, do podcast recordings or other things like that. That's another thing I've thought about doing more live podcasts. I think could be fun.
Yeah. I mean,
how do you feel about live?
I did live ones like once a month for a while, for a little over a year. And I think
is it Mutiny or were you doing?
I was doing it at the Molecule Effect.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah. You can go back and listen to those live handwrite brains if you want to.
How'd you feel about it?
I enjoyed them. I tried very hard to make it like a live thing, something that was fun to be there live.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to get people out. If you don't have an audience, I don't think it's worth it anymore. Yeah. Like, you got to have a big audience, like Dollop, like All Fantasy Everything. Like, like those ones that they do at like High Plains and stuff. Like I think you have to have a already built-in audience or it's not going to.
No, I think.
Otherwise, it's just a glorified regular recording in a way.
Yes.
That's not even like in your comfort zone. And it's not even like in the heart of the podcast at that point.
Yeah.
Because you're doing something to make it alive, worth coming live. And then if no one comes, then which was the bulk of most of those podcasts, then you're just doing it for yourselves anyway. And it's not, then it's not the same.
You might as well just do it in front of nobody. And then that way you don't have the variation of the live show.
The pod itself anyway. Yeah.
No, I think that's probably true. But it's crazy how, like the two you just mentioned specifically that like AFE tours all over the country and like they do theaters all over the country. The Dollop they do some big venues, man.
Yeah, they did the Paramount.
Yeah, which is, that's a big podcast. It's really popular. I'm going to see in 2 weeks, we're going to go see Love It or Leave It at, I think it's the Boulder Theater.
Okay.
And last time, there was a few years ago, they did a live one at the Performing Arts Center downtown where they actually did, because it's, they have a whole series of podcasts. And so they did their flagship, which is called Pod Save America. Like that was like the 8 o'clock show.
Yeah.
That was the 8 o'clock show. And then one of the guys he was a speechwriter for Obama. And specifically, he was one of the guys that would write a lot of the correspondence dinner jokes. And, he was a comedy writer. So he does a show, which is my favorite, called Love It or Leave It. And, his was the late show. So like they did their like main one at 8. And then his was like the late show at 10. Which I think is awesome. Super fun. And we went to both. Like you could get like a ticket for both. And it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. And of course the late show was my recollection was that one was not nearly as well attended. So it was a lot of like, hey everyone, if you're here for just move down. Just like fill it on in, fill it on in.
Yeah.
And it was a super fun show. Super fun show. Yeah, but I agree. I think that it certainly helps to have a following.
Yeah, it's like the Drunk Wedding Pod I was producing, before. They're like, we should do a live one. I'm like, yeah, it's like.
You should do a live one at someone's wedding.
They were talking about that. Would be I think it'd be interesting to do, but also, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah. It's a lot of work to ruin somebody's wedding. Yeah, that's, Yeah, because
it would be fun I would love to have a little pod station, have people come up and like talk into the recorder, say something about us or, whatever.
I think that'd be fun.
That's an interesting.
Yeah, where you have a little station where, the way that like someone signs a guest book.
Zoom and they could Yeah,
someone signs a guest book or whatever. Like this is the, audio podcast equivalent of that.
That'd be fun.
I think that'd be cool. Man, that'd be a good idea. You could honestly sell that to like a wedding, like planner.
That's actually not bad. Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Damn.
It'd be fun to do it.
Best idea. Not doing the pod anymore.
Yeah, you know what? You might actually make some money doing that. People would probably be interested in that.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, because you got the mobile rig. You can move around.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and then something we were talking about the other day. You were saying something about like you think Denver comedy or like Denver stuff is a little segregated. Would you want to speak on that a little bit?
Oh,
I thought that was like an interesting take or point.
Well, so I've been saying this.
Bad. It's an interesting observation.
So the word I want to be very clear about the word segregation.
Yeah, that was my word. I don't know if you.
No. That is the word I used, but I used it not in the way that we typically use it now to mean race. I think anyone that lives in Denver can agree that Denver has issues with segregation anyway. Like all the black people live in Aurora. That's a little weird. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is I have felt for a long time. And this is part of why I think I want to lean a little more into the variety show thing, is I've felt for a long time that Denver is very artistically segregated. There is a comedy scene, and there's a music scene, and there's like a visual arts sort of scene, and there's a pretty big burlesque and drag scene. And I feel like none of those groups tend to talk to each other.
Right. Yeah.
Like we do comedy shows, and we do music at the High Dive, and we do burlesque shows at the Clock Tower, and then there's Comedy Works down the street from the Clock Tower. You know what I mean? And I think that is a missed opportunity to bring groups together. And I think especially given the fact that if I open up my phone right now and I look at least my Instagram and TikTok feeds, is a combination of all of those things.
People and
yeah, right. Yeah, it's just straight up porn. No. It's like it's all that. I see clips of a band, and then the next clip is stand up, and then the next clip is something else entirely. You're like, so why not do more of that live? Is my point. And I there's reasons for that. I think everyone tends to kind of get in their own little bubble.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I think that sucks. And I think that I think if I could say it right now, I think my resolution for next year is really to break that down. And even like the variety shows that I've done have been nice to have, like, okay, the band brings a bunch of people out, and now I'm going to put a comic in front of them that they're never going to see otherwise, that they would not have come out to a show otherwise. And so that's what I mean by segregated, is I think that we have all of these different like artistic groups that do not seem to talk to each other and don't seem very interested in talking to each other. And the only reason for that is because they haven't been given the opportunity to.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it's a lot easier to introduce comedy to a couple of these things than to like bring in a jam band to a comedy show.
Well, yeah.
All right, now listen to this salty lick.
Yeah, but that's, I wouldn't do that. It's more, and specifically when the variety shows that I've done with musicians who are into it and like kind of get, I'm like, hey, you're only going to do a half hour, and that's fine. So the variety shows that I've done have been 3 acts, where it's usually I host, do a little bit of time up top, just kind of, host set, nothing crazy. And then I'll have usually the format that I've liked the most, that I think has made the most sense flow wise, is I host, solo acoustic performer, so just one person in a guitar and singing, comic in the middle who does like a hot 20, like the best 20 they got, and then a full band to close. I think I've liked that the most flow, like just as far as like the show kind of flowing, But I've tried different ones. Like I said, I did one where it was like I did a set up top. We had the burlesque act do like one song, and then I think it was a comic and then musician, and then I actually had the burlesque performer close with like one song.
Okay. You didn't find it was jarring for anything for the audience with like doing the burlesque and then switching it up right away?
Maybe.
I mean, maybe it's just like the bar thing isn't like, they're not sitting down like a theater. There isn't like
right,
that kind of
right. But the thing is it's not like that's come out of nowhere. I mean, like
burlesque and comedy. Vaudeville comedy
vaudeville
stuff?
I mean, literally the history of stand-up came out of vaudeville.
Sure,
the first stand-up, the reason they called them stand-up comics was because it was the first people that were coming out of vaudeville who just told jokes were considered like amateurish. Like, what do you mean they just stand there and tell jokes? They don't juggle, they don't dance. Like, what do you mean you don't have an act? You just tell jokes. That was, I forget the book that I read. It was either the Cliff Nesteroff book or one of the other ones like that, where it was like the first
like history of comedy or whatever.
Yeah, it was the first, people like that were either hosting the vaudeville show.
Yeah, I remember that.
Or were initially considered to be like somewhat amateurish. And it took some time. It wasn't until really the 70s where actual comedy clubs. It was that one, the blue one.
So sorry.
Well, the comedians is the big one, but there's a couple other ones that actually have slightly different angles. If you go back, that's the one by
The History of Stand-Up.
What's his name? Wayne Fetterman, who's a comic. He was a comic, and now I think he teaches at UCLA. I really like that one because and it says it in the title, From Mark Twain to Dave Chappelle. He talks about, I think the first chapter is about how if Mark Twain was around now, we would consider him a stand-up. And if you look, I specifically remember in that book, he looks at, because in his day, Mark Twain was known more as a public speaker than he was as a writer. Like, it was only afterwards that some of his writing became super popular, but like at the time he was known more for, he would do these, like, essentially he would just get up and like talk about a certain topic for a while. And that was like a very popular thing after the Civil War. Like, there was all of these people who were like basically looking for something to do, and like the idea
of jam bands of talkers,
kind of, man, kind of
just kind of riff on stuff.
Kind of like not unlike that, you know, like I think that's where that was who he would do. And I remember that in that Wayne Federman book, he looks at, well, if we look at Mark Twain's live dates, it looks like a stand-up tour. Like, he was basically doing theaters where he would just kind of get up and he'd crack some jokes and, you know, whatever. There's I think it was Hal Holbrook, who's an actor. Like, he did a one-man show where he would literally just take Mark Twain's stuff and just do it live. And yeah, so
the Carlos Mencia of that.
Kind of, you know, it was more one-man show stuff. But yeah, he was doing that as theaters. And so I like that book because it sort of traces that, like, it's not like stand-up. You know, I think people think that it maybe came out of vaudeville, and then it wasn't until like the 70s with like the Comedy Store and, you know, stuff like that. It's been around in some form for a while. Like, he talks in that book about, there was a whole thing around that same time period. It was called the Lyceum movement, and there's theaters all over the country to this day called the Lyceum Theater. And the idea was, it was literally just public speaking, where people would just get up and kind of do a TED Talk or some sort of thing, depending on how you want to look at it. And yeah, so anyway, I think, so yeah, going back to the vaudeville thing, is like, there used to be for a long time in this country, several decades, pre-television really, where that's what the show was. It was a juggler and a burlesque act and a musician and, you know, maybe a comic. Or in a lot of cases, it was like a Three Stooges type of act where like they're kind of doing sketches or whatever. So I want to do more of that, you know, and I've done, I worked with an improv group for the last couple of years.
Right. Yeah. I have seen
They have unfortunately disbanded because the one guy moved, and, you know, but they were great. I did several shows with them where they would open the show and then we would do like feature headlining stand-up. Like, I want to do more of that kind of stuff, you know, where it's same thing. I feel like, you know, the Rise or Voodoo or whatever it's called now, I think it's called Rise now. Like, they're one of the only places in town that had sort of kind of combined stand-up and improv.
Some genres in a way.
Yeah. So I think I understand why.
They have these same cameras there. I saw them last time I was there.
They're great cameras. I can see, and they're easy to use. I can understand why all of these things have been sort of existing separately, and I would like to see just more of that all mixed together, because I think we are all collectively missing out on opportunities, exactly as you said, to put a comic in front of a band or have a band close a show instead of just having 5 stand-ups just all do some time. So I think I'm going to be exploring that a lot more at the bar. Which, you know, I think there are plenty of stand-ups who probably aren't going to like that, but those stand-ups should work harder and get better at stand-up. So then that way they'd have no problem closing or going after, you know, an act. And I like that at the Friday open mics. You know, the Friday open mics, I usually try to do like a comic or two, and then I'll put up a musician. Yeah. And I usually get a lot of guys who, you know, they're if they have to follow the musician, I hear this a lot. We're like, oh, it's so hard following a musician because someone just came out here and poured their heart out. Now I'm going to tell dick jokes. I'm like, yeah, but those things can all exist together, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
I don't see why they can't. And I think that for the comics who have a hard time with that, like I said, get better at comedy. Sure. You will have no problem adapting to that.
It is nice from time. Yeah.
Well, just different stuff, man. I feel like, especially when you go to like open mics, you know, I feel like I see this happen a lot where you see people that kind of get trapped. And I've heard other people talk about this on your podcast recently, where it's like, I feel like you can get trapped in just going to open mics. And then that becomes what you think comedy is, where it's just like, I just got to get up and do my 3 minutes or do my 5 minutes or do my 10 minutes on a showcase. And that's all fine. But like, realistically, outside of Denver, you know, the people who tend to do well can act or host or do other things. So yeah, just more. I think more bringing these different groups together, because I think Denver, for as long as I've lived in Denver, it's been, oh, we got a great music scene. Oh, we got a great comedy scene. And that's all true. But why can't we just have all of it together? Why is it so separate? Other than there's nobody who's just putting it together.
Yeah.
So if I have to single-handedly be that guy, okay. And if it fails, okay, it fails, whatever. You know, at least we tried something different. Sure. I think is my point. I think at this point, I am getting a little tired of just the same shit over and over again, just in general.
Yeah.
So variety.
I know Ethan Everhart's trying to do like a Jokes and Jams is his show where his band plays
cool.
Comic covers. Would you do?
That's right.
I think you might be looking for a venue. Is that?
Have him hit me up.
You're kind of tying it together already.
Get at me, Ethan. Let's do it. Well, even I've tried to talk Evan into. Me and Evan Johnson and Cody used to do a show called Sing Song Ding Dong. I've been trying to talk Evan to bring that back. My problem with that is I just don't have a lot of space.
Kind of a mess.
Whatever. I don't have a lot of space at the bar to like have. Yeah, no, I love Evan, but yeah, I
get it together.
Yeah, come on, man. I've told him, I was like, let's do this show again, because we used to do it to nobody at the Dangerous Theater for a while, and then we did it to slightly more people at Wide Right for a while, and then the pandemic happened, and then that was it. You know, and the Wide Right run was interesting because we couldn't have live drums, so we would play along to a drum machine, which was not nearly as fun.
Oh yeah.
You know, but it was a lot of setup. It was a lot of work, like gear wise, when we had a full drum set and the amps, and like we'd have to bring a lot of our own mics. I have most of that. My problem is the bar is so small. I have very little space to like store. I would love to have a drum kit or like have a house piano. Like I've had people show up to the open mic and like expect that I have a piano. I'm like, I don't know why you would expect me to have a piano. Like, look around. Where am I going to put a piano? Yeah. It's just so small.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Yeah. Well, I had that happen last week where like, there's a girl who's like, oh, you don't have a house piano? I'm like, no. Where do you come from? That's a standard thing. Yeah. You know, like, that's cool wherever you come from. You know, we didn't really get into it.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't going to be a dick about it. You know, she ended up singing a cappella and it was actually great. It was cool. But yeah, I was like, I don't have the room. I would love to have the room. I just don't have the room. Yeah. So I think the next bar I own will have a separate space, like either a side room or a basement or a back room where we can shut the door, so that if there are people that just want to drink and bullshit, great. The bar doesn't have to lose out on money.
Yeah.
We can have like the front bar. I think that's why most comedy clubs have the bar, and then you have to sort of walk through into the showroom.
Yeah.
There's a very specific reason for that.
Yeah. It's everyone. Well, R.I.P. Chorito. You know, they had a real good setup for that.
Chorito had a great setup for that. Now the problem with Chorito was, you know, did you ever do a show there on opening? No. But did you ever do a show there opening weekend of baseball season, where literally the whole sidebar was so loud that you couldn't really even hear what was going on in the sidebar? But yeah, no, I think that's perfectly what I would like to have, where there's like a side room, like a separate area.
You think you'd expand the bar at any point?
I don't know if I'd expand. I think we would just straight up
relocate.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Any idea, thoughts of where in town, or would you stay in Inglewood?
I'd absolutely not stay in Englewood. Absolutely not, for lots of reasons. Up to and including that the city of Englewood's government is real petty about stupid bullshit. And I'm not the only business that's had a problem. Yeah, I would want to, Whitney and I have already talked about this a little bit. I could see us doing what we're doing in a different location, either in Denver or honestly even like Littleton or something would be okay.
Ooh, Littleton, yeah.
Well, there's just more people,
Littleton's
and I'd want to do it a few different ways. I'd want to either do like a bar or like a brewery, because breweries are kind of their own thing. And I'd want to have some sort of food, like more than we have now, because now we just have bar food, and that's fine. Or like an actual location for food trucks that isn't just like our parking lot, because right now we have the food trucks come to our back parking lot, which is cool. But like if we could have our own food truck, that would be nice, because then we could keep all that money. But yeah, I don't know. We've talked about it. We've got 3 more years on our lease, so we're not moving anywhere anytime soon.
That 3 years, although, isn't
it's not that much time.
Yeah.
No. I mean, in we're gonna have to start making decisions in about 1.5 years, 2 years or so, at least. But yeah, I could see us doing what we're doing now, but in a different location.
Yeah.
Somewhere that maybe has a little more foot traffic would be nice. Somewhere that, like I said, has some other room for shows, whatever that looks like. And then, and ideally part of having that other room would be, I really would love to have the space to have a full backline, which is that like we have a drum set. I would love to have a house piano, I just don't have the room for it. I really just don't have the room for it.
It's a tall order.
Yeah. Where I've thought about like just bringing my guitar, but then my guitar is going to get totally messed up if I just
guitar.
That would be tight. House guitar. Now we're talking, JD. That's what I'm talking about, dude. Honestly, that's the name of the bar.
House guitar. Yeah.
Forget Western Sky. We're just gonna call it the House Guitar Bar. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Since you brought that up, look up Fish Frankenstein. But Frankenstein is not Fish's song, but you'll see. No, PH, man. Fuck you.
Oh yeah. My bad. Oh my bad.
Come on, buddy.
My bad.
You know the deal. Frankenstein. And specifically, we want to, we want the guitar. Yeah, that should do. Probably. That's probably fine. There it is.
Oh, yeah, I see it. I see the guitar.
Yeah, the video is not that good, but yeah. Paige shows up with the guitar. Yeah. I've seen them live several times. They've done this one. It's usually as an encore. And anytime you see the guitar, it's like, yeah. That's it. That's what I'm talking about.
He's doing his guitar solo.
Fuck yeah, dude. That's what it's about. Come on. You're not going to see that kind of shit at like, whatever band.
Swift ain't playing a guitar.
You're not going to see guitar at Taylor Swift, people.
Yeah.
Where else are you going to see something like that? Plenty of places, probably.
I guess in closing, any advice for a showrunner, anybody who's doing shows, like things you see from the owner's perspective, like making posters, anything.
Whatever.
Stuff that, like people wanted, if they wanted to approach you for like an idea for a show.
Well, so me specifically, I've had people just be like, "Hey, can I produce a show?" And my thing is, like, you're a good example of like, you have a specific show that you do. It's a themed show. You have a whole concept and you book your whole thing. I've had comics approach me to ask me about booking shows at the bar. And my thing is, it doesn't help me if you just put your own show together so that you have your own show, like, because I can do that. Like, I don't need to pay you to do that.
Right,
I can do that on my own. So like your show, I've had Jake Cameron come do his live talk show, which I really like doing. It's super fun. And that's like Jake's talk show. Jake Cameron's talk show is a good example of a show that I feel like is the kind of thing I want to do more of. Where it's like,
it's variety, right there.
It's exactly, and it's something different, and it's something a lot more just different from like, let's just do a bunch of stand-up shows. And like I said, like, you can look at our calendar, and I've done a couple. I have a couple others coming up. I actually need to update our December website, at least, is looking light. I need to delete. Actually, now that I'm looking at this, there's a couple things I need to change. We're actually going to be open in Thanksgiving. One of our new bartenders who lives in the area is going to be open from 3 to 9. So I have to update that. So I think that's it. I've had people approach me who just want to do a show, and I always tell them the same thing, which is, look, if you want to just do a show here, that doesn't really help me. Like, go find some other venue for that. Come up with a concept. That's me specifically. If there are other new showrunners or people who want to run their own show or run their own open mic at some other bar, my advice to you is, whatever you think you're doing promotion, do more of it. Like, you can never do enough promotion. And like, I've got links to the tickets to our shows, both comedy and music shows, everywhere, in places that nobody goes, but it helps you online. Like, I still believe, and I think I'm one of the only people on the planet who seems to believe this, if you are at a place
on the planet
where you're doing a show, there should be a poster up for your show. Like, if I walk into the bar and there's no poster for your show, it does not make me feel good that it's going to go well. And if there is other places in the area around, if there's a bookstore or a coffee shop, put a poster up there. Like, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
It takes the average human being 7 times to see a new thing before they remember it. And so like, people are just like, oh, I put it on Facebook. Okay. That's not really going to get you there. I have it on Nextdoor. I put it on Groupon. Like, I put it on all these different places. And okay, even if you only get 1 or 2 things, that's like 1 or 2 things, So I think that's the thing. There are a lot of people that like do it pretty well or know how to work with it. The other thing that I think, especially some open mics or some other showcases, I don't think every bar in town needs to have a show, like especially if that bar is not set up well for it. I think there are certain things about a room that make it bad. Like if you got your comedy show in like a weird upstairs loft thing, okay, that might be cool. But it also might not be if like it's not set up correct. So I think there's a lot of shows in town that do a pretty good job of like having their own area or like having a space that actually works for it. And yeah, just I think you sort of mentioned it. Be open to feedback from other people. Like if people are telling you that something isn't working or that something is working, you should do more of it. You should probably listen to people.
Yeah,
that's generally my advice. Is I think we're all far too many people don't want to listen to advice, good or bad. You don't have to take the advice.
Yeah.
You don't have to take the advice, but you should at least be open to the advice. If there's anyone that's going to give it to you, at least listen. At least listen.
Yeah, couldn't hurt.
Couldn't hurt.
Yeah, except your ego, maybe.
Yeah, but you know what, man? Everyone's ego needs
it's hard
to
to let that go.
Yeah, everyone's ego should get banged up a little bit. No, it's how you learn. It's how you grow. No one grows by just being like, I'm awesome.
Yeah.
That's not how you get better at things.
That's true.
Be open to feedback.
But I am jealous of that kind of confidence.
Me too. Me too. I would love to have. I would love to have just blind confidence in myself. I do not have that, and it's why I got to work extra hard at things. I think because I'm like, well, this is gonna be bad. I think my last piece of advice. There's far too many producers. And this is obviously a little silly, but I constantly am worrying about how things are gonna go. Are people gonna show up? Are the people who are gonna show up gonna actually pay attention? I think especially some of the shows we do, your show, Jake's show, some of the more tech heavy shows, I'm constantly running around doing stuff. I don't usually find it that a producer that's super chill and laid back is always great. Not that you have to like be freaking out all of the time, but care. I think that's actually the biggest thing that I've seen, especially at the open mic. And I think you and I have talked about this before, both on and off the pod, is like, I think there's a lot of guys, especially when they first start doing stand-up, who it's like, well, I didn't really try, whatever. And so they sort of let themselves off the hook by being like, well, yeah, I'm just up here. Why'd you show up then? Like, why? I see a lot of guys that come to the open mic week after week who try the same joke that didn't work last week and it didn't work the week before, and there has been no attempt to edit it. So I think edit your jokes, people, and try. There's not like, okay, if you try and you fail, okay, sure, that doesn't help your ego. But I think there's far too many people who just get mad because they're not getting booked on shows. But you're not getting booked on shows because you don't have 10 minutes, like actual minutes, like actual jokes that land, that work. Do that, and you'll get booked on shows.
Yeah, words to live by, guys. All right.
Work hard and it'll work most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah. Where can people find you? Things like that.
You know where to find me, man. I'm in Western Sky most nights of the week. WesternSkyBar.com. You've got it. It's Western Sky Bar. CO on Instagram. We've got shows. I've got comedy shows and some great music shows coming up through the end of the year. Next week, because it's Thanksgiving, it's going to be a little chill. But in December, we've got AJ Finney. We're going to do another live Quiplash show. So it's going to be comics playing Quiplash against the audience and then doing sets in between. I've got a big show with Adam Caton Holland on the 14th. I've got, and I added a musician to that. We've got a guy who comes to the open mic. His songs are sort of like John Prine funny. He's got a couple that are like outright punchlines. And then, so he's going to just do 3 songs. And then I've got Tanya, who was actually just on, I think, earlier today. Yeah. She's going to be on the show. I've got Ed Bell. And then we're doing Comedy Save the Video Star on the 21st.
Yeah.
21st. Yeah. And then stay tuned. I'll make up my mind about what I want to do next year. I know for sure we're doing Drunk History of the 90s last Thursday in January. And we'll do themed trivia. I've got a couple other themed trivia stuff that we're working on. I have a buddy who used to host at various places for the same company that I used to. He and I are scheming on some stuff. We may start writing a lot of our own stuff. So stay tuned for that. I may have some theme trivia stuff coming up as well. But yeah, westernskybar.com, Western Sky Bar CO, and come to the open mic. If you're listening and you're a comic or musician, come to the open mic on Friday. If you want to get booked on a show, that is how to do it. Come to the open mic, be cool, and that's the deal.
Right on. Yeah, I do appreciate all the work you do as the producer, producing the show,
Thanks,
make
man.
sure the mics are going and stuff, because there's a lot of feedback you can get on.
Well,
those
I think
mics.
we learned, there was one of the ones I did, what was it? I think I filled in for someone who dropped off, and we learned that me being on the show is actually not a good thing, because I think
so hard to get
I think I spent most of the show like just running back and forth to the soundboard to make it sound good. So I think it's better if I'm there and I'm just controlling
got 5
volume.
mics on stage.
I thought it worked pretty well last time. I thought there was a few feedbacky things, but I actually think it works a little better if the music's actually a little louder. I actually EQ'd it in a way where I took the bass and the mid out of most of the song so that we could hear you guys a little clearer.
Interesting.
And then I boosted the mid and the treble on your mic so that we could hear that a little clearer. I thought that worked actually okay.
Yeah, that's right. Because there's like 5 mics on stage and the music's playing. Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. Well, and I think that'll be a constant thing. We'll just have to dial that in.
Yeah. But appreciate all that
you,
work.
man. Yeah, it's always fun to do the show.
Yeah, I'll say BX into each other. Wakanda forever. Happy Thanksgiving. And it might have already passed, but we'll see. Hope you had a good one if it's passed. But
Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate.
Sign it off. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Thank you.